Good evening. The big story on India First. Is there a reset in India-China ties? Can India trust China? Now, what is it that the Chinese foreign minister and Politburo member Wang is saying? He says the setbacks that is India and China, experienced in the past few years were not in the interest of the people of the two countries. And these were his opening remarks at his meeting with the National Security Advisor. He's just called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's invited the Prime Minister to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's annual summit in Tianjin. That big reset button. Can India trust China at a time that you have more than 50,000 troops who are amassed at the borders? Not eyeball to eyeball right now, but clearly there is a massive trust deficit, not just because of the tensions at the LAC, but also remember what the Deputy Chief of Army Staff had recently said, that when India was targeting Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror during Operation Sindoor, and Pakistan Army responded, the Chinese and the Turkish equipment was also used, and Chinese satellites were helping Pakistan. There's breaking news coming in. I'll get you the story, but before that, there's breaking news coming in, and I want to take you quickly to Mumbai for this big breaking story. A monorail is stuck in Mumbai's eastern suburban area due to a technical snag after massive rainfall. And I want to play out those images. A monorail is stuck. Passengers are stuck inside this monorail. For a moment, I just want to go full frame to these images. These are very, very powerful images that are coming in from Mumbai, where passengers are stuck inside the monorail. Watch these images. So you have fire brigade personnel. They've put a massive forklift and people are being pulled out of that monorail. Look at the way people are cramped inside. Okay, we are getting a reaction. Let's cut across to Mumbai.
तो भी पब्लिक सेटिस्फेक्शन इसमें बिल्कुल भी नहीं मिलता है, बीच में कभी भी बंद पड़ती है। और अगर कंप्लेन करो फोन नंबर पे तो बोलते हैं कि आप एक काम करो, मैं ईमेल आईडी देता हूँ, आप मेल कर दो। जब पैसेंजर बीच में अटक जाता है तो वो कहाँ मेल करेगा, उसको तो इंस्टेंट रेस्क्यू चाहिए। अभी मुझे ये आश्चर्य हो रहा है कि यहाँ आने के बाद भी 1 घंटा पब्लिक फंसी रही, इतना सफोकेशन था कि बेहोश होने की स्थिति आ रही थी। औरतें अंदर में रो रही थी, उनको सब मिल करके ढाढ़स दे रहे थे कि रुको, कुछ नहीं हो जाएगा, टीम आ गई है, कुछ ना कुछ तो करेगी। तो ये जो है ना, ड्रिल इनका नहीं हुआ है कभी इस ढंग से कि पब्लिक अगर फंस जाए तो हम कैसे इसको उतारें। मोनोरेल एवं आरडीए को ड्रिल करने की जरूरत है कि हम कैसे। अभी तो ठीक है, अगर आग लग जाती है एक साइड में इंजन में तो क्या होता, आप ये बताओ। पहले भी आग का इंस्टेंस बीएमसी और पहले भी हुई है। अगर आज आग लगती तो क्या होता, एक भी पब्लिक को बचा पाते क्या? नहीं बचा पाते, सबके सब जल के मर जाते हैं। तो थोड़ा सा ड्रिल जो कैसे करना है, इसको थोड़ा सा रिव्यू करने की जरूरत है। एमएमआरडीए को अपने सिस्टम में सुधार लाने की जरूरत है, कई जगह सुधार लाने की जरूरत है, एक नहीं हर जगह सुधार। अंदर जो लोग हैं वो सुरक्षित, किसी को चोट लगी है? चोट कैसे लगेगी? सफोकेशन हो रहा है, ऑक्सीजन की कमी हो रही है, ऑक्सीजन लेवल कम हो रहा है और वो परेशान हो रहे हैं। बस एक दूसरे को हिम्मत दे करके वो एक दूसरे को टिकाए हुए हैं, नहीं तो पसीना पसीना अंदर, हवा नहीं जा रही। यहाँ से अनाउंसमेंट कर रहे हैं, अंदर किसी को कुछ पता नहीं चल रहा है कि नीचे क्या बोल रहे हैं। ये स्थिति है। आप पूरी तरह सुरक्षित है, कोई चोट वगैरह नहीं है आपको? चोट किसी को नहीं है, ना चोट आएगी। मैंने भगवान नगर से कुछ किसी को चोट आया, हर कोई सुरक्षित घर पहुंचे। इसमें ज्यादातर लोग चेंबूर जाने वाले हैं, जो कि रेयरली ही ट्रेवल करते हैं इस मोनोरेल में, क्योंकि हार्बर लाइन बंद है। घोटाला से उन्होंने सोचा चेंबूर तक जाएंगे, आगे के आगे सोच लेंगे। पनवेल और बेलापुर साइड के मैक्सिमम पैसेंजर हैं, वो पहली बार चढ़े भी और इस तरह से फंस गए। आपका नाम भी फिर से बता दीजिए। हरीश प्रसाद मेरा नाम है जी, धन्यवाद।
So you saw the first image that's coming in, and you've heard a person who was stuck inside this monorail. It's been raining very heavily in Mumbai, and because of this rain, the harbour line was impacted. Road transport has been impacted because the metro, known as the lifeline, the suburban rail known as the lifeline of Mumbai, that was adversely impacted. The crowds on the monorail were more than double and many times over the usual strength, and perhaps because of some kind of a technical snag, the monorail got stuck, and for hours, you just heard this eyewitness, other eyewitnesses also telling India Today's reporters on ground that people remained stuck inside for several hours, and there was lack of oxygen. They felt very cramped inside. They felt very suffocated inside. And there was an effort being made to boost their morale. By the time the fire brigade was mobilized, by the time the fire brigade could navigate not just the traffic but also the water and reach this place and set up their forklift or their emergency crane to bring down passengers, it took quite some time, and these are the first images that are coming in. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has just reacted. Devendra Fadnavis has said in a social media post, due to some technical reason, a monorail is stuck between Chembur and Bhakti Park area. The MMRDA, the fire brigade and the municipal corporation, all agencies have reached the spot. The highest priority is being given to the safety of all passengers. Therefore, no one should worry or panic. All passengers will be safely evacuated. And you're watching those images on your television screen. Even as we speak, passengers are being evacuated. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra says, I request everyone to remain patient. I am in contact with the MMRDA Commissioner, the Municipal Commissioner, the police and all relevant agencies. An inquiry will also be conducted into why this incident occurred. So you have the first reaction that's coming in from ground zero. I also want to cut across to Ajay Parchure, my colleague who joins me from Mumbai. Ajay, इस समय क्या स्थिति है? क्या सभी यात्रियों को सुरक्षित निकाल लिया गया है? अजय,
अभी मैं वही घटना स्थल पे हूँ। मैं आपको दिखा सकता हूँ कि ये जो चेंबूर से लेके जो मोनोरेल है, ये 2 मोनोरेल बंद पड़ चुकी है और उस मोनोरेल में बहुत सारे यात्री फंस चुके हैं और अभी यहाँ पे फायर ब्रिगेड की क्रेन लग चुकी है। उस क्रेन से आप देख सकते हैं कि उन लोगों को उन क्रेन से निकाला जा रहा है। एक क्रेन में एक बार कम से कम 10 से 12 लोगों को निकालकर नीचे लाया जा रहा है। सभी सुरक्षित है। एक प्रॉब्लम सिर्फ यहाँ पे हो रही है कि उस मोनोरेल में एसी बंद हो चुका है क्योंकि वहाँ की मोनोरेल की इलेक्ट्रिसिटी खत्म हो चुकी है। इसके कारण थोड़ा सी दिक्कत हो रही है लोगों को और थोड़ा सा सफोकेशन फील कर रहे हैं। पर कुछ लोगों से नीचे उतरने के बाद हमारी बात हुई, उन्होंने कहा कि बहुत सारे लोग अभी अंदर फंसे हुए हैं। आप देख सकते हैं कि वहाँ पर ट्रेन में एक साथ
एक इसमें लेके आ सकते हैं, पर अभी भी अंदर 80 से 90 लोग फंसे हुए हैं। ये मोनोरेल ज्यादा यूज नहीं की जाती मुंबई करके, पर आज बारिश की वजह से मेट्रो हो या रास्ते की यातायात हो या रेल यातायात पूरी तरह ठप होने के कारण
आज मोनोरेल को लोगों ने यूज किया और उसी 2 मोनोरेल 6 बजे भक्ति पार्क एरिया में बंद हो चुकी है और उसी भक्ति पार्क के एरिया में बंद होने के बाद जो मोनोरेल के जो अंदर जो लोग थे उन्होंने बीएमसी के इमरजेंसी नंबर पर, हेल्पलाइन नंबर पर कॉल किया और उस कॉल करने के बाद इमरजेंसी हेल्पलाइन ने फायर ब्रिगेड को यहां पर भेजा और जो बड़ी सी क्रेनें दिख रही हैं आप, जो बड़े बड़े टावरों पे जब आग लगती है तब लोगों को बचाने के लिए यूज किया जाता है, उसी दो क्रेन है यहाँ पर। एक आप आगे की तरफ देख सकते हैं कि आगे की तरफ एक क्रेन है और वो क्रेन से लोगों को उतारा जा रहा है और दूसरी जो यहाँ पे क्रेन दिख रहे हैं बराबर हम लोग उसके नीचे खड़े हैं और ये जो तीसरी देखिए, ये तीसरी क्रेन थोड़ी सी हिल रही है। लोग अंदर फंसे हुए हैं। मैं अपने कैमरामैन को कहना चाहता हूं कि लोग देखिए वो अंदर फंस चुके हैं और लोगों को अभी तक उतारा नहीं गया। अभी तक कम से कम 20 से 25 लोग यहां से नीचे आए हैं, पर अभी भी अंदर मोनोरेल में कम से कम 100 से 120 लोग फंसे हुए हैं। उन सबको उतारा जाने की कोशिश की जा रही है।
अच्छा अजय, रहिए मेरे साथ. So for the benefit of our viewers, 100 to 120 passengers are still trapped inside this monorail. There was a power outage, no electricity, and that's why the monorail got stuck around 6. So for the past 2 hours, people have been stuck inside, and the effort is to get them out. In one go, one crane is able to bring down between 8 to 10 passengers. So it will take quite some time. 3 क्रेनें लगाई गई हैं, 2 मोनोरेल रुकी हुई हैं इस समय. अजय, क्या जो वहां प्रशासन के अधिकारी हैं ये बता पा रहे हैं कितनी जल्दी सब लोगों को उतार लिया जाएगा? क्या डॉक्टर और एम्बुलेंस यहां मौजूद हैं? किसी को किसी तरह की आवश्यकता है डॉक्टर या एम्बुलेंस की? सुन पा रहे हैं? So as you can see in these images, fire brigade personnel have now entered the monorail and they are helping passengers come out. They're rescuing passengers from one end. There are 2 monorails. There are 2 of these monorails that are stuck pretty close to each other is what we hear. And these Bronto skylifts are being used to bring those passengers down from the Mumbai Monorail. I also want to cut across to India Today's Devesh Singh, who joins me for more on this. Devesh, what can you tell us about relief and rescue operations? I believe some ambulances have also been rushed to this area.
Well, yes, Gaurav, what we hear from Monorail administration is that some ambulances have been kept ready at the spot where the Mysore Colony monorail station, where this first monorail train was stuck. After this, another monorail train was stuck at the same location, and now fire brigade officials along with local administration have reached the place. They are trying to rescue all the passengers who were stuck inside the monorail train. So after 8 hours of being affected, of the railway line being affected, now the monorail line is also being affected, and there's a serious power surge, or due to a power issue, this monorail lost power. This monorail train lost power, and due to which it got stranded at the Mysore Colony railway station. And now rescue efforts have begun by the fire brigade officials. They've brought skylifts and other required assistance as well to bring these passengers down. There are several.
We are getting another eyewitness account.
स्टेशनला 5:15ची ट्रेन होती, 20ला आली ती गाडी, नंतर मध्ये बंद पडली. आतमध्ये यांचं काही नियोजन नाही, कसं हे करायचं, आपत्कालीन काय करायचं ते काही नव्हतं. आम्हाला खूप त्रास झाला. वेळ आता इथे आतमध्ये आले त्यांचं फायर ब्रिगेड वगैरे आली, त्यांनी आम्हाला सुखरूपपणे बाहेर काढलं. आम्ही सगळ्या फायर ब्रिगेडचा आम्ही आभार.
कोणाला काही इजा झाली, काही मार लागली काही?
नाही, इजा वगैरे कोणाला नाही, पण झाली आतून फक्त थोडंसं त्रास व्हायला.
व्हेंटिलेशनला काही प्रॉब्लेम नव्हती.
So very grateful to the fire brigade authorities for reaching as quickly as possible and for rescuing us. And we had absolutely no idea what needs to be done in an emergency. Is what the eyewitness or one of the passengers on board that monorail said. But as you can see in these images, there are several women inside and men. The women, as one of the eyewitnesses said, were feeling very suffocated. There were some children, I believe, according to initial reports. Of course, some were very calm on their mobile phones, reached out to authorities, hoped that the authorities would quickly be able to send these Bronto skylifts to rescue people. That rescue operation is currently still on. Safety of passengers, utmost priority is what the Chief Minister of Maharashtra has just said. And Devesh is getting us details of this rescue operation. Devesh, will additional resources have to be rushed in to ensure that all are rescued as quickly as possible?
Well, the local police station has been alerted, and local police have already reached the spot. Fire brigade officials are already there on the spot, and BMC officials have been rushed to the spot. Monorail administration is already there, and there is additional team of officers from the state government who are rushing to the spot. What we learn as of now.
Catch your breath. We will play out some of these eyewitness accounts that are also coming in. Now, was this contingency kept in mind? How would people be rescued? Because those who were on board said for 2 hours. So 6 o'clock is where power outage was reported. Finally, around 8 is when the skylift started rescuing people. For 2 hours, people remain stranded inside, and there are 2 monorails pretty close to each other that have been stuck. So, Divesh, were these contingencies kept in mind earlier? Did the administration know what needs to be done? Because eyewitnesses say, or those passengers inside say, they had absolutely no idea what is to be done, how will they be rescued, and fortunately there wasn't a fire. In the case of fire, they wouldn't know how they would be rescued.
Well, this is an alarming situation, Gaurav, as you pointed out. Was there a contingency plan? So, frankly speaking, I think there was no contingency plan because this is not the first time that the monorail has failed. I remember around 8 or 9 years back, a similar condition happened at Bhakti Park, and that time also, on that occasion as well, fire brigade was brought in. They had used cranes to bring out the passengers who were stuck inside the monorail bridge. So, as of now, what kind of contingency plan does the monorail administration have? They will have to answer this. But this is an alarming situation, and situation which the passengers had to go through. They had to suffer for around 2 hours.
More passengers, and some reactions from the administration. Let's listen in.
अंदर 1000 लोग
1500 लोग 500 तो डेफिनेटली रह गए। पूरा गाड़ी पैक था क्योंकि आधा घंटे के बाद ये ट्रेन आई थी और उसकी वजह से अंदर ओवरलोड हो गया। अंदर लोड के वजह से गाड़ी का जो एग्जॉस्ट वो बंद हो गया। अंदर कोई भी आपातकालीन स्थिति के लिए कोई भी ये नहीं थी, चीज नहीं थी। इमरजेंसी एग्जिट नहीं था।
आपने कहां से ट्रेन पकड़ा था? ये
मैं वडाला राम मंदिर से
पकड़ा। तो अंदर ये बच्चों भी थे? अंदर
बच्चे थे, बूढ़े लोग थे, लेडीज थी। एक मेरे सामने एक जो आदमी था उसको चक्कर आके वो अंदर ही बंद हो गया।
तो लेकिन क्या कहना चाहेंगे, कितनी देर तक ये आपको रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन पहुंचा आपका?
एक सवा घंटा लग गया पूरा अंदर फायर ब्रिगेड आने तक।
आपने क्या नाम बताया आपसे?
सुशील ओराडकर।
So passengers say they contacted the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation or the BMC's helpline number for emergency assistance, and the fire brigade, the initial fire brigade, came to the scene quickly. It took some time for this Bronto lift or the skylift to reach there. The skylift then initiated the rescue operations. We are now being told, Divesh, I believe it's a 20-kilometer route from Chembur to the Sant Gadge Maharaj Chowk, where this monorail has been in operation since 2014. Explain the importance of monorail to assist Mumbai's, it's a city that's always on the move, and the moment it starts raining and the suburban train gets impacted, that's where this monorail plays a very critical role. Divesh.
Well, Gaurav, today the railway line being stuck. So the railway lines were not working. Remember, since 12 p.m. and in Harbour Line, which is towards Chembur and Vadala and that route, which is called the Harbour Line, the railway line was not functioning since around 10:30 a.m. And post that 12 noon, since 12 noon it was not working on the central line as well. So in that scenario, monorail which runs above, it runs on a bridge, on an elevated bridge like a line, which is like a metro. On an elevated bridge, this monorail runs, and that is why people tried using the monorail rakes. Usually monorail rakes are not crowded. There's not much crowd. There's not too many commuters who use monorail for commuting. One, the reason that it is very slow. Another, the route that the monorail runs on is not a crowded route as such. It's not a route where you see huge crowd.
Stay with me. Eyewitnesses on the rescue operations. Listen in.
तो मुंबई की स्पिरिट है, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं उसके अंदर।
मानना पड़ेगा कि पूरी पुलिस, पूरे एम्बुलेंस सारे आए हेल्प करने के लिए। वी डेफिनेटली वेयर देयर। आई एम अ डॉक्टर, मैं खुद खड़ी रही यहाँ कि अगर हेल्प चाहिए तो वी कैन हेल्प इट आउट। पुलिस के लिए भी बोल के भरा, बट एवरी टाइम हम लोग इससे कम्युनिकेट कर रहे थे टू गिव इंस्ट्रक्शंस।
पुलिस बार-बार अपील कर दी।
2 लेडीज थी जो सफोकेट हुई, बट बाकी काफी लोगों से उन्होंने काफी हेल्प किया। बट डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट और अच्छा होना चाहिए।
लोग एक दूसरे कैसे कोऑपरेट कर रहे थे अंदर?
मुझे नहीं मालूम, ये था अंदर। मैं तो इसको कांटेक्ट कर रही थी, पुलिस को बोला मेरे पास है एक अंदर, तो इनसे इसके थ्रू हम लोग इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रहे थे अंदर।
आपका नाम है?
डॉक्टर महेश्वरी।
थैंक यू मैम। थैंक यू।
So, a doctor who was waiting for one of her relatives was in touch. I want to quickly cut across to Shaina NC joining us on the broadcast. Shaina, what can you tell us about the latest situation when it comes to rescue operations, and does this in a way, point to how emergency services need to be better geared up to be able to provide resources?
Right now, I think first let's understand what has happened. The monorail train came to a halt between Mysore Colony and Bhakti Park. Both are stations in Mumbai, and because of the downpour that we have seen and the incessant rain, there have been certain issues vis-a-vis rescue operations using cranes. And I think that if there is a power supply issue, obviously there is going to be a situation, and it's most unfortunate. The Mumbai Fire Brigade have been deployed to the spot, and the passengers will be rescued by cutting the window glass, as has been explained by the authorities. But I think what we need to understand also is that Mumbai has battered by the rains for the past 2 days, throwing normal life out of gear. And whether it's the CM or our Deputy CM Eknath Shinde, all have said that, this technical reason on the monorail between Chembur and Bhakti Park, the MMRDA, the Fire Brigade, the Municipal Corporation, all agencies have reached the spot, and it is an issue of highest priority to ensure safety of the passengers. So I think right now the only issue is the safety of the passengers, and the MMRDA Commissioner, the Municipal Commissioner, the police, and the relevant agencies are following up completely. But do understand that Mumbai has seen over 300
Do you have any information about how many people may still be trapped inside, and how soon are these operations likely to be concluded and hopefully safely, with all passengers out safely?
I have no such knowledge, but having said that, this is a freak accident, and I hope that in the future too we will be able to ensure that passenger safety is paramount, because that's what our government stands for.
Overall, can you give us an overview of the kind of contingencies your government has wargamed so far to deal with such a situation, this particular situation in general, and these massive rains in general?
All I'd like to say is that, when you have incessant rain which affects a minor power supply, you have 3 snorkel vehicles of the Mumbai Fire Brigade that have been deployed to the spot, and the passengers are being rescued as we speak. And I think that what is imperative to understand is that all agencies, whether it is the MMRDA, the Fire Brigade, the Municipal Corporation, the police, everyone's on the spot, and all 3 leaders, Devendra Fadnavis, my own leader, Eknath Shinde, and Ajit Doval, are all hands-on monitoring the situation minute by minute.
Shaina NC of the Shiv Sena for joining me here on India Today. Many thanks. I now want to cut across to my colleague on Ground Zero, Ajay Parchure, who joins us from this Bhakti Park area where this incident has taken place. Ajay, अब क्या फायर ब्रिगेड के अधिकारी ये बता पा रहे हैं कि कितने यात्री अभी भी अंदर हैं? कुछ आकलन था कि पूरी मोनोरेल में संख्या 100 से कहीं अधिक है। शुरू में आकलन 100 का था, अभी क्या कुछ बता पा रहे हैं? कितने लोग अभी भी फंसे हुए हैं?
ये जो चेंबूर में ये मोनोरेल जो फंस चुकी है, जहां से लोग निकल रहे हैं, हमारे साथ इस मोनोरेल में फंसे हुए एक यात्री है। उन यात्री का क्या कहना है? क्या आप कौन है, क्या नाम है आपका? रिहान जी, आप कभी से फंसे हुए थे यहाँ?
2-2.5 घंटा हो गया।
क्या हुआ था? पूरा मसला बताइए। कहाँ से ये ट्रेन आ रही थी?
ये वडाला से हम लोग वडाला में चढ़े, वडाला स्टेशन से।
रिहान जी, आप मुझे बताइए कि आपको कैसे, ये जब बंद पड़ी तो आपने कोशिश कैसे की? लोगों को पता कैसे लगा? कि किसी ने कांटेक्ट किया, किसी ने पुलिस को कांटेक्ट किया, क्या हुआ?
सब शायद अंदर वाले कांटेक्ट भी कर रहे थे और नीचे वाले वीडियो भी कर रहे थे।
अच्छा, तो ये अभी कितने लोग अंदर फंसे होंगे आपको लगता है? आप तो निकल चुके हैं, पर कितने लोग अंदर अभी भी है?
ये 300-400 तक हो गए शायद।
300-400 लोग हैं अभी तक अंदर, और आपके साथ कितने लोग नीचे उतरे? कौन से क्रेन से नीचे उतरे?
पहले डब्बे से उतरे।
तो ये दरवाजा कैसे खोला? कितने बजे? ये 6 बजे इंसिडेंट हुआ, 6 बजे ये ट्रेन बंद हो चुकी थी। लोग आप ये जो सब फायर ब्रिगेड वाले हैं, पुलिस वाले हैं, ये क्रेन लेके कब तक पहुंचे आपके?
टाइम गया, 1 घंटा गया।
1 से 1.5 घंटा चला गया। अभी आपको कुछ तकलीफ हो रही है? सफोकेशन हो रहा था अंदर क्या है? लोगों की
घबराहट सी हो रही थी गर्मी की वजह से, बस बाकी
कुछ नहीं है। पर कितनी कुछ पता चल रहा था आपको? अपने कितनी औरतें हैं, कितने लोग हैं अंदर, कि छोटे बच्चे वगैरह कुछ है?
औरतों को तकलीफ हो रही है, बूढ़ों को तकलीफ हो रही थी बस।
आप कहाँ के रहने वाले हैं? मुंबई में? चेंबूर में रहने। आप हमेशा मोनोरेल यूज करते हैं कि आज ही मेट्रो या किसी दूसरी रेलवे बंद थी इसके लिए आपने यूज किया?
रेलवे बंद थी इसलिए।
बट रेहान जी, अंदर कुछ किसी के पास कोई तकलीफ है? कोई चक्कर आया था किसी को, या कोई आदमी बेहोश हुआ था, ऐसी कुछ देखा आपने सामने?
हाँ, बहुत जन चक्कर आ रही थी,
बहुत जन चक्कर आए थे। तो ये थे रेहान जी, ये अंदर फंसे हुए थे, अभी उनको बाहर लाया गया है। फिर भी उनके कहने से 300 से 400 लोग अभी भी फंसे हुए हैं रेहान जी। और रेहान जी का कहना ऐसा है कि लोगों अंदर जो औरतें हैं उनको भी दिक्कतें हो रही है, और उनको थोड़ा सा सफोकेशन भी महसूस हो रहा है। ये रेहान जी जो अंदर थे, जो अंदर मोनोरेल में फंसे थे, ये अभी आज तक और इंडिया टुडे से एक्सक्लूसिव बात कर रहे थे, और हमसे ये बात कर रहे थे कि अंदर 300-400 लोग और फंसे हैं। अभी भी यातायात अभी चालू है, अभी भी लोग उनको नीचे लेके आने के लिए कोशिश भी जारी है। क्रेन आप देख रहे हैं, क्रेन से भी लोग उतर रहे हैं। तो ये थे हमारे साथ जो रेहान जी, जो अंदर फंसे हुए यात्री थे, और उनसे हमने बात करने की कोशिश की। उन्होंने जो हमें इम्पोर्टेंट मैसेज दिया है, इम्पोर्टेंट
क्या फायर ब्रिगेड के अधिकारी आपको बता पा रहे हैं कि क्या उन्हें कुछ और इक्विपमेंट चाहिए, और लोगों को जल्दी से निकाल पाने के लिए कोई और सहायता चाहिए, या उनके पास जो रिसोर्सेज हैं वो उनके पास सारी हैं?
रेहान जी नीचे उतरे हैं, और रेहान के कहने से अभी भी अंदर 300 लोग ऊपर फंसे हुए हैं। और एक क्रेन में एक बार यहाँ पे 3 क्रेन लगा चुकी है। एक क्रेन में एक बार 7 से 8 लोगों को नीचे लाया जा सकता है। अभी भी 300 लोग वहां पर फंसे हुए हैं, यानी कम से कम 21-22 लोग एक बार नीचे उतर रहे हैं। तो फिर ये जो काम शुरू है, इसमें थोड़ा सा वक्त और लगेगा। बारिश तो थोड़ी सी रुक चुकी है, पर 1 से 1.5 घंटा अभी भी लोगों को नीचे उतारने को लगेगा। उसके बाद ही ये कार्य संपूर्ण होगा। कैमरामैन सचिन सावंत के साथ मैं अजय परसुरे।
So my colleague Ajay Parsure giving details that it'll take another hour and a half, because it's a very slow process, as you can see, to bring people down. They're not used to climbing down from these skylifts. Once again, more eyewitness accounts, more those who are trapped inside. Listen in.
इंस्ट्रक्शन भी नहीं है ना, मतलब कुछ भी अंदर कुछ भी नहीं। मतलब हेल्पलाइन नंबर होना चाहिए, कुछ ना कुछ तो पब्लिक को दो कि समझ आए पब्लिक को कि क्या करना है ऐसे मतलब ऐसे टाइम सिचुएशन में क्या करना है। कुछ भी नहीं लिखा हुआ है ना। जो डोर है उसको जो व्हाइट कलर से इमरजेंसी एग्जिट का जो बटन था वो भी फोड़ना बिड़ना लिखना चाहिए ना। तो ऐसे में फोड़ दिया तो निकल गया वो घूमने वाला। आपण पाहतोय की ज्या मोनोरेल मध्ये अडकले। हेलो हेलो।
So the eyewitnesses saying they had absolutely no idea. Those, of course, who were on board, some of the youngsters had absolutely no idea what is to be done. But if you look at these images right now, the information is there are 3 skylifts that are already there, or these cranes. 3 cranes are attempting to bring people down. Some of the eyewitnesses have said that there could still be between 300 to 400 passengers inside the monorail. What efforts are being undertaken? Listen in.
ना उसका अंदर जाना चाहिए, डबल ट्रिपल चला गया, इसका वजह से गाड़ी ऐसा फॉल्ट हो गया। टेक्निकल फॉल्ट इन्हें रीजन फॉर ओवरलोड इनका वजह से ही हुआ है। अभी तो पार्टी का काम, तो उनको निकालने का काम कैसा कैसा है आपका सामने हो रहा है, तो बराबर तो काम हो रहा है। अभी अंदर कितने लोग? अभी मोर देन 60-65% हो गया। अभी थोड़ा बहुत बाकी है, वो आ जाएगा लिमिट से बाहर।
Let me quickly bring in Ajay Parchure for the latest in these rescue operations. Ajay, यहाँ ambulances भी हैं और फायर ब्रिगेड भी है. जिन लोगों को उतारा जा रहा है वो यहाँ से किस तरह से अपने घर जाएंगे या अभी उसका कोई उपाय नहीं है? क्या बिजली अभी भी बंद है वहां पर?
मैं आपको दिखाना चाहता हूं कि यहाँ पर जो लोगों को नीचे उतारा जा रहा है, मैंने कोई लोगों से बात भी की. एक रेहान जी करके थे जो अंदर फंसे हुए थे, उनको बाहर उतारने के बाद कुछ दिक्कत है. डॉक्टर की टीम यहाँ पे आ चुकी है, एम्बुलेंस आ चुकी है और यहाँ पर बेस्ट बसेस भी लाए गए हैं कि जिनको जहाँ पर जाना है, नज़दीकी स्टेशन पे जाना है, नज़दीकी कोई बस स्टॉप पे जाना है या उनको घरों तक जाना है, उसी लिए पुलिस और प्रशासन ने यहाँ पर गाड़ियों का इंतजाम किया है, बेस्ट बसों का इंतजाम किया है. तो इंतजाम तो पुख्ता है, पर यहाँ पे जो दिक्कतें आ रही है वो दिक्कत ये है कि अंदर जो रिहान जी थे, जो अंदर फंसे हुए थे यात्री, वो उनको जब नीचे उतारा तब मैंने उनसे बात की तो यहाँ पे जो 3 क्रेनें आप देख रहे हैं, उस 3 क्रेनों में से एक बार 7 से 8 लोग ही नीचे लाए जा सकते हैं. जैसे वो रिहान जी ने कहा, जो उन्होंने हमें इंफॉर्मेशन दी कि वहां पर अंदर अभी भी 300 लोग फंसे हुए हैं. 300 लोग फंसे हुए हैं और अभी तक 40 से 50 लोग ही नीचे लाए गए हैं. 6 बजे ये ट्रेन बंद हो चुकी थी. ये टेक्निकल फॉल्ट था. उन्होंने कहा कि इलेक्ट्रिसिटी अचानक से बंद हो गई और इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बंद होने के बाद यहाँ पर ट्रेन भक्ति पार्क, जहाँ के भक्ति पार्क एक मोनोरेल स्टेशन है, उसके थोड़े से आगे जाकर ये इस जगह पर भक्ति पार्क और चेंबूर स्टेशन के बीच में ये मोनोरेल बंद हो चुकी है. और इसके बाद अंदर के कुछ लोगों ने जो बीएमसी के जो नंबर है, हेल्पलाइन नंबर है या पुलिस के हेल्पलाइन नंबर है या पुलिस की जो नंबर है यहाँ के नजदीकी, वहां को फोन करने की कोशिश की और उसके बाद फायर ब्रिगेड को यहाँ पे बुलाया गया. ये जो क्रेन आप देख रहे हैं, ये मुंबई में या बड़े बड़े शहरों में जब आग लगती है तब बड़े बड़े टावर्स में इसको उधर से ऊपर जाके लोगों को बाहर निकालने के लिए यूज किया जाता है. ये जो 3 बड़े जो ब्रांटो स्काईलिफ्ट F27, ये जो बड़े बड़े आप देख रहे हैं क्रेन, उनसे अभी देखिए यहाँ पर 7 से 8 लोगों को ऊपर से निकाला गया. ऊपर आप देखेंगे,
आप इस खबर पर नजर बनाए रखिए. अजय, मैं ताजा जानकारी के लिए फिर आपके पास लौट कर आऊंगा. एंड व्हेन यू लुक एट दीज इमेजेस, इट्स पिच डार्क. There are still passengers and a very large number of passengers. According to some of the eyewitnesses and those who were inside, at least 300 to 400 passengers are still inside this monorail. And if you look at these are live images that we are getting to you. Very, very patiently, they're waiting for the skylift to come once again, for the crane to come once again and rescue them. And this shows the resilience of the Mumbaikars as they wait very patiently. They're not rushing to get to that skylift. They've ensured, and especially these people that you see in these images, they are waiting. As soon as that F27 RLH Bronto skylift reaches them, between 5 and 7 people are able to board it and then climb down. So it's not as if that skylift comes down each time. People who are able to climb down, the able-bodied are climbing down. It's only if someone's unable to come down does that skylift come down, bringing those people to safety and then goes up and rescues. And this is likely to be a long haul considering the large number of people who are still trapped inside. And it must be a very tough experience for them. My colleague Devesh is standing by reporting this story. Ajay Parchure is reporting this story. And those who came down did speak of, 1, feeling suffocated inside, 2, no oxygen, no air conditioning because of no electricity, and 3, there were no instructions what is to be done in an emergency in such a situation. Monorail, right now especially, because the suburban railway, the Mumbai lifeline, the trains of Mumbai and especially the harbour line is adversely impacted because of the rain. Since 12 noon, the trains are not being able to operate, especially on the harbour line. That's why this extra pressure on the monorail. And the electricity situation, it's stuck, and we're told 2 monorails are stuck very close to each other, and the effort is on to rescue people as quickly as possible. These are live images that we are getting to you of the rescue and relief operations. If you hear in Marathi, the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation and the police repeatedly asking people to remain calm. They will reach every individual and bring them down to safety. Do not panic. Those who are brought down are being asked, do you need medical attention? There are some ambulances that are on standby. Additional ambulances are being sent there should people require any assistance. More buses have also been sent there right now is the information that's coming in. And watch how difficult this entire operation is. So you have the fire brigade personnel who virtually try and form a kind of a safety wall so that the passengers can exit the monorail safely, get onto that platform. As you see this young lady trying to now come down, and naturally if you're scared of heights, it is a scary situation. Now, I want to shift focus to our top story, and images are coming in from the national capital, this time of the Chinese foreign minister and member of the Politburo, Wang, who called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister emphasized on the importance of peace and tranquility at the borders for bilateral relations between India and China to move forward. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the steady and positive progress in bilateral ties between India and China, and especially since his meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping in Kazan on the sidelines of BRICS 2024 in Russia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has accepted President Xi Jinping's invitation to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Leaders Summit in Tianjin in China. But the Prime Minister underlined that stable, predictable and constructive bilateral ties are essential and will contribute significantly to regional and global peace and prosperity. I want to quickly bring in India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan for more on this big story. Geeta, do we look at this as a step forward since the Kazan initiative, or do we look at it as a reset in India-China ties?
Well, I'd stay away from words like a reset at this point in time. Maybe an incremental way forward, because if you see, after every SR level talks, and which is a very critical talk, you and I know, Gaurav, we've been covering this. This is the 24th round of talks on the boundary question. So it covers a huge ambit of the boundary question between India and China, not just the border disputes that are current, but the current border dispute is foremost and primary in terms of solving it and moving forward. It cannot be business as usual, like Dr. Jaishankar had said. And therefore, when you see the statement, the fact that there is a repetition on the Indian side and the Chinese side on the need to move forward, the need to de-escalate, but no particular announcement on whether if there is going to be specific de-escalation, goes to show that it's only an incremental way forward, because leadership meetings have begun, leadership meetings will happen, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that he is going to, in this statement, has said he's going to meet with President Xi Jinping in Tianjin. So critical, very important meetings, very important visits taking place. But beyond that, one has to look at it from the prism of what is happening with India and China vis-a-vis the United States of America. The reason why there's a need for these countries to show that they can engage and engage constructively. Does that amount to something beyond what we're seeing at the border and just a call for peace and tranquility? For now, it's just that. The fact that peace is holding is important, but de-escalation necessary.
Oh, absolutely. And given the fact that China was assisting Pakistan during Operation Sindoor, I mean, that's another major reason for India to beware. Geeta, stay with me as we get our viewers more details. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be traveling to China for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Leaders Summit at Tianjin. And this was confirmed earlier today by India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval during the 24th round of the SR level or the Special Representatives conversation on the border talks. The NSA also confirmed that India-China border has been quiet and there has been an upward trend in bilateral ties. Wang said the Chinese side attaches great importance to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to China. Beijing will also resume supplies of fertilizers, rare earth minerals and tunnel boring machines to India, halted for nearly a year, is the information that is also filtering out. But is this relationship moving in the right direction, or is that just a tactical move forward right now or a strategic reset? We'll debate that, but Geeta Mohan and Pranay Upadhyay bring you our story.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the two Asian giants attempt to reset ties. Wang Yi also met NSA Ajit Doval. In the talks, Doval highlighted the new momentum in India-China ties and the importance of peace along the border.
I'm very happy that since then, in the last 9 months, there has been an upward trend. Borders have been quiet. There have been peace and tranquility. Our bilateral engagements have been more substantial.
The Chinese foreign minister in turn acknowledged that past setbacks have not served the interest of either country and reiterated Beijing's commitment to restoring stability on the border.
We maintained peace and tranquility in the border areas. We should firm up confidence to dispel interference, expand cooperation, and to further consolidate the momentum of improvement and development of China-India relations so that while pursuing our respective rejuvenation, we can contribute to each other's success.
The Chinese foreign minister also emphasized that bilateral engagements will be taken forward during Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to China for SCO Summit.
The Chinese side attaches great importance to the Prime Minister's visit to China to attend the SCO Summit at our invitation. We believe that the Indian side will also make your contribution to a successful summit in Tianjin.
Welcome you and your delegation to India.
This after Wang Yi held talks with External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. The minister underscored that peace at the border is fundamental to improving relations.
Having seen a difficult period in our relationship, Excellency, our two nations now seek to move ahead. This requires a candid and constructive approach from both sides.
In a significant assurance, Wang Yi promised to address three of India's pressing needs: resuming supplies of fertilizers, rare earths minerals, and tunnel boring machines. The high-stakes visit is being closely watched, not just for what it means for the frozen India-China ties, but also for the signals it sends to the world at a time of shifting geopolitical alignments. Bureau Report, India Today.
So a tactical step forward or a strategic reset? Joining me on this India First special broadcast is Ambassador Mohan Kumar, Professor of Diplomatic Practice at the Jindal School of International Affairs and former Ambassador to France. Professor Shrikant Kondapalli is Professor of Chinese Studies at the prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru University. Feng Yailai is a correspondent of China Global Television Network, joins me on the show. And in a moment, we'll also be joined by Professor Jacob. Okay, he joins us, Associate Professor International Relations and Governance at the Shiv Nadar University. Let me begin by asking our Chinese guest, Feng Yailai, how is Beijing, Ms. Yailai, reacting to the Politburo member and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to India, his extending an invitation to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the interactions he's had so far with the NSA and the External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar?
Okay, so China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi is on his visit to India, which is his first since 2022. And today, the 24th round of talks between the special representatives of China and India on the boundary question marks an important milestone in Sino-Indian relations. And the talks were comprehensive, in-depth, and productive, according to Chinese Foreign Ministry. And the event focused on both the boundary issue and broader bilateral relations, as reported. So Foreign Minister Wang Yi emphasized that the important consensus reached by President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi during their meeting in Kazan has provided clear direction and momentum for improving the bilateral relations and properly handling the boundary issue. And this year has seen steady progress in bilateral relations and sustained stability along the border, as the two neighboring countries and major developing nations, China and India, share extensive common interests and should trust and support each other. And this is a proper way for two emerging powers to interact. And Wang Yi also highlighted the significance of Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to China for the SCO Tianjin Summit. And China highly values, he said, the visit and expects India to contribute positively to the success of the summit. And National Security Advisor Doval also echoed these sentiments. He described the Kazan meeting as a turning point in Sino-India relations, noting that it has led to positive changes in mutual perceptions and maintain peace and tranquility in the border areas. And given the current volatile international situation, both countries face common challenges and need to enhance understanding, deepen trust, and strengthen cooperation. And this is vital for the welfare of the two countries' peoples,
It
and
indeed
for
would be.
both peace
Okay.
as well as development. And also, India, he says, is willing to maintain communication with China to create favorable conditions for the final resolution of the boundary issue. And both sides exchanged views also on early harvest and the boundary negotiations, and reiterated their commitment to fully utilize this special representative mechanism. And it was agreed by both sides that the 25th round of special representative talks will be held in China next year. So in summary, this meeting is of great significance as it further promotes communication and understanding between the two sides on bilateral relations. And
Yes. Let me bring in Ambassador Mohan Kumar. Ambassador, would you look at it as a tactical move forward, given the Trump tariff tyranny, or a reset, as some would want us to believe?
Thank you very much for having me. I certainly hope it is not a tactical thing, at least from India's perspective, because that is precisely the wrong thing to do, in my view. Just because we have a few headwinds in our relationship with the United States, I don't think we should be doing things with China on that basis. I believe the India-China relationship stands on its own merit. It is a neighbor. It is a strategic partnership. And I think for me, it is better not to view the relationship in terms of a zero-sum game where we have some trouble with the United States and therefore you ipso facto come to the conclusion that you need to improve your ties with China. My yardstick for improvement, Gaurav, would be that we need two things which we need to convey to the Chinese. I think I agree with the Chinese correspondent that communication is good, understanding is good, but two things have to happen. One, there is temporary peace at the border, but permanent peace eludes us because 50 to 60,000 troops are in eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation. So de-escalation has to happen on a priority basis. Second, we need to convince China that a multipolar Asia is something that they will buy into, because that has implications for India's foreign policy in South Asia. So all in all, I would agree with the External Affairs Minister, who believes this relationship should be based on three mutuals, that is sensitivity, respect, and interest, and that we should really be trying to ensure that competition does not become conflict and differences don't become disputes. So all in all, I believe this is a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction, you say. Professor Kondapalli, Wang Yi said that the setbacks India and China experienced in the past few years were not in the interest of the people of the two countries. Now, are these just words, or has China also realized that tension at the borders has not helped either China or India? But, as Ambassador Mohan Kumar points out, there are steps that China must take, and especially the 50,000 odd soldiers on both sides. Do they need to de-escalate for us to know that it's not just words, there is action on the Chinese side, not just disengagement?
We don't know what the Chinese are going to do next, but we need to watch those steps. I think, as Ambassador Mohan Kumar mentioned, we have had disengagement and patrolling and grazing by October 2024, but we have not had so far de-escalation and de-induction of troops on the border. This is a major concern. Of course, there is, as you mentioned, Gaurav, there is peace and tranquility, but peace and tranquility in the background of deployment of troops, but most important, very offensive equipment, military equipment, like tanks, light tanks, the multiple rocket launchers, drones, and other things. So we need to actually see what will be the progress in this direction. Remember, Dr. Jaishankar mentioned on June 17, 2020, that unless until peace and tranquility prevails on the border, there is no bilateral relation between the two sides. So we need to see on this. The reason why I'm suggesting is, so far there is no discussion on the resumption of the 30 different types of dialogues between the two sides, including media to media exchanges, think tank to think tank, the strategic dialogue between the foreign ministries, the annual defense dialogue between the defense ministries, the youth exchanges, the so many 30 of these dialogues are there. There is no discussion so far on these.
And
despite
India's steps throughout, Professor Jacob. We covered the Chinese president coming to Gujarat in 2014. We covered what happened at Wuhan and then Mahabalipuram, and then we covered Galwan, and I was also covering Kazan in 2024. My question is, when we've seen so many ups and downs in this relationship, India's always tried to improve relations with China. It's China, that we need to know whether we can trust. How do you look at these developments, especially in the light of what happened with Chinese assistance to Pakistan during Operation Sindoor?
So I think, as everyone has mentioned, there's better communication now. And I think both sides understand each other. But communication and understanding does not necessarily mean that there is agreement on how the relationship needs to go forward. As Professor Kondapalli mentioned, a whole series of previous engagements are not yet back on track. And the reason that they are not back on track is precisely because there is still a great degree of distrust that exists in the relationship. I don't see that. I mean, frankly, given that the two sides are talking to each other, and the MEA statement says that they did discuss terrorism, they did discuss the river water, the dam issue, and so on. So clearly, communication is happening, but that is not quite enough. We have quite a distance to go before both sides begin to get to the next level. And you mentioned Operation Sindoor. I mean, Foreign Minister Wang is actually traveling from Delhi to Kabul for a tripartite with the Pakistani and Afghan foreign minister. And then he's headed to Islamabad. So I think in that sense, that gives you an idea of where China sees India in this. And frankly, we cannot have a relationship where China doesn't understand the importance of India. I mean, these words are all very well, but these words need to be matched by actions as well.
I will let that be the last word on this part of the show. I'm so sorry we couldn't have a longer discussion given that emergency in Mumbai. But over the next several days, I hope to have all of you back on India First to talk more about India-China relations and how it's being taken forward. I want to thank our guests from China and all of our professors and ambassadors joining me on this show. It's not just sweet words, it's action that follows, especially at the line of actual control, and whether there is a change, if at all, in the overall India-China relations and China's attitude towards Pakistan, their all-weather friend. Many aspects that we'll be tracking over the next several days and weeks.